Hello, I'm Mark Hall-Patton. I want to welcome you to the Clark County Museum. One of the things that we deal with in southern Nevada is heat. We're in a high heat warning period right now. That's a standard thing that we get every summer. And here at the museum, we make certain changes, and everybody ought to. We have our outdoor trail, our half-mile trail that we close down when it gets over 105 degrees. It's just a safety issue. You know, you don't want to be walking too far. We don't know that everybody's brought water or brought their own shade, but you ought to do that when you're outside. But you might wonder, how did people live here before we had air conditioning? What was it they did to deal with the heat? Well, behind me, you can see recreations of 3 different styles of Paiute Wickiups. Now, Wickiup is a brush construction, and these were set up by the Paiutes merely to provide a little shade, a little shelter. The Paiutes didn't live on the valley floor when it was hot like this. It is, probably going to be 110 today here at the museum. When it was getting that warm, they would go up on Mount Charleston or up into the mountains and live up there. They were somewhat smarter than we are, because it was much more comfortable up there. This particular kind of Paiute shelter, and you must understand these are all recreations, they are not originals, and you can see that this one needs to be redone a little bit, and that's normal for these. But this particular type was meant to be low, and it was merely meant to be a shade shelter. You would lie down, you could have your head back in here, but it was low enough that it didn't take long to build it. You could then lie down, be in shade when you needed it. And what the Paiutes would do is they would then leave these behind. When they moved on, they would just go back to nature. They would go back into the soil, and the next year or the next month, whenever they needed a new one, they could build a new one. These we rebuild once a year and use natural materials that grow right here on the site. Now, in the early days of Las Vegas as a community, we did not in fact have trees here. When you see mature trees like these on Heritage Street at the museum, it makes a significant difference in temperature. It's about 15 degrees cooler where I am standing than standing in the sun. But in the early days of Las Vegas, we didn't have trees. We were in the middle of the desert. So the railroad started bringing trees in, and to give you an idea of how important that was, in 1909, the Las Vegas Age actually said on its front page, "Vegas has trees." So this is where the Union Plaza is today. But in 1909, this was the depot for the railroad coming through here. And you can see they were very proud. We had a tree outside of the depot. So when you look at how people lived here, they learned different ways of dealing with the heat. They would do things like take their beds outside at night and soak them with water, not so that they were sopping, but just damp enough that as it evaporated, it would cool you down. You always wore a hat when you were outside, something that keeps the sun off of your skin, and that often you would wear long sleeves. You didn't wear long sleeves because you were cold. You wore long sleeves to keep the sun off and to hold in some of the sweat, so as that evaporated, it would keep you cooled off. So these days, when you're outside and it's warm like this, please remember to plan for the heat. It's always been part of our history here. We show that as part of the exhibits here. When you come out to the museum, and I certainly hope you do, we're open 7 days a week, 9 to 4:30. We're only $2 a head. It's still the best bargain in the valley. But when you come out, bring your own shade and bring your own water. We hope to see you here.